think there was a line of about over 80 young girls who were kissing me.
Oh my God.
So that's just...
Talk about childhood
That's just a dream for every young man. Yeah.
Devil away.
No, not the every
I said devil away. Oh,
Right.
I took it from Sunday school.
Yes.
When they said a Bible a
day.
day keeps the devil.
You see, that's a spiritual. I like it. So that is a spiritual. So why is Ke Moja different? Because it's made up of all those ingredients, which are unique.
Have you ever dreamt of changing the world? Like really changing it, like starting a movement that thousands of young people can be inspired and enriched in? Well, today's guest is someone who lives and breathes through that dream. Well, buckle up because we're taking you on a roller coaster ride. I am speaking to none other than Mr. Nhlanhla Zwane.
Morning, fortunate.
Boo, boo, boo. How do you feel about that intro?
It's a very high standard to meet. I hope I rise up to it.
You have to. You
yeah,
have to.
Yes.
So we're going to start with icebreaker questions. Are
All
you getting
right.
excited?
We'll see.
Just 3 or 4, nothing much.
Okay.
The first one is tea or coffee, and how would you take it?
Tea
Tea.
with lemon or sugar.
Why? Why not coffee?
I'm just not a coffee person, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't do
Sure.
it for me. Yeah.
I love coffee.
Okay.
If I don't drink coffee, then I don't know. My day is just ruined, honestly.
I've noticed a lot of people love coffee,
Sure.
but I thank God I don't like it.
Okay.
I have many vices. I don't want to add coffee
You
to
don't want to
it.
add that one?
Yeah.
So what's your go-to comfort food and why?
Ooh. Comfort food, I would say go to ice cream. Luscious, creamy ice cream.
Flavor? Give us a flavor there.
There was the one which was, we got into another, I think what, tiramisu or something like that.
Okay.
It has tin. There's a word tin with it. It was the best ice cream I've had.
Ever.
Yeah.
Wow. Sure. What's the weirdest job you've ever had? Now, this is just even if it's in your imagination, like your weirdest job.
No, I don't have to imagine.
You've lived
I've
enough.
done some weird jobs. Yeah, when I was doing standard 8, I think it's grade 10,
Sure.
I did panel beating. So I interned
Really?
as a panel beater.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have guessed.
So I was the guy who was polishing the car to be smooth, the body filler.
Wow.
And I was reporting to a Mozambican gentleman we called Patrao. Yeah. And after I finished matric, my first job was at the factory
Sure.
where we were bending pipes. Yeah, I think that was like my first
Your first job.
first experience of a formal workplace factory with Abu Baba from KZN. Great memories there. You know, they gave me such sound bites as, why are you working so hard? Umsebenzi not awupheli. Umsebenzi womlungu awupheli kuphela indoda, you know?
Wow.
Because I went there with gusto, with enthusiasm.
Wow.
And they just looked at this young man and thought,
Just excited
energy.
to work at a panel
we
pizza.
got- No, that was the pipe bending machine. It was
Sure.
called the famous batons, yeah? Batons.
All right.
Yes, so I've done a fair share. I was a waiter
Oh, okay.
in Sentin, place called Cafe Bonaparte. Yeah, I was a cabin attendant.
Of course. But before we get into that one, because I'm very
that's not
interested
weird.
in that one.
Okay.
I'm very interested in that one.
Okay.
So if you had a theme song,
All right.
what would it be and why?
We will rock you.
We will rock you. Wait, is that we will rock you?
That's him.
What?
Yeah, why? Because the one thing I want written in my tomb is, here lies a man who cannot blame anyone. That's my epitaph.
Wow.
Here lies a man who cannot blame anyone, because my intention is to die empty. And I believe by leaving my gifts on earth, it's going to rock a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. Dying empty. What does that mean?
You know, Miles Monroe said the richest place in the universe is not the diamond fields of Botswana or the oil fields in Iraq or the gold fields in South Africa, but it is the graveyard. Because in the graveyard are great women who died as paupers.
Ish.
Great songs which were never sung. Amazing businesses which never saw the light of the day. You know, great books which were never written.
Sure. So
Miles Monroe said words that have stayed with me. He said, please rob the grave. Don't take those things with you.
I rob the grave.
To the grave. Yeah.
Sure.
So I want to do my best to do that, to die empty. The other one is Paul. In the Bible, when he died, he said, I'm like a cup that has been poured out. I have run my race. I have fulfilled the faith. So he was saying, everything that I had in my heart to do, I've done.
Sure.
So I'm not scared of
I'm
death.
left with nothing.
As I'm going into the grave, I'm not taking anything with me. So that is my ambition. That's why that is a theme song. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's powerful. When you mentioned that theme song, I just started thinking of a man with a weird suit on.
Who is that?
But I'm thinking of this guy called Rocky. I don't know if it's Van Damme or Rocky.
Oh, Rocky.
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. Yes.
Yeah. I think me, it's more like, you know, when I leave the world, it must be clear this is how the world was before Nhlanhla, and this is how the world is after.
After Nhlanhla.
So I want to have a BC and AD.
So I want us to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I want us to get into your journey now.
Okay.
You mentioned your waiter job and you transitioning into cabin. Tell us a little bit about that and your journey.
Yes, very interesting. I was at Vets and I dropped out, which is, I think it was my third year that I dropped out, which is probably a story for another day as to why. And when I dropped out, I went to stay in Hillbrow with my friends. Right?
You were a rebel, sir.
Was more livable then.
Okay.
It was coming down, but it was still Hillbrow, you know?
Okay.
There was a little bit of Hillbrow in it left. And we rented an apartment which was fully furnished for the first time. I like to make this example that we went in, we saw cupboards, we went out, bought eggs and bread, came back, opened the cupboards, and there were no pens. There were no pens or, utensils. And I had my first lesson, which is part of growing up is you buy utensils for yourself. They don't just appear automatically.
Yes.
In the cupboards, etc. So we stayed in Hillbrow, and then we went and looked for jobs, and I found a waitering job in Sentin. That was the first time. It was great to be a waiter. You always had cash flow from the tips. So I always had cash, which was great. Before a salary, which wasn't much. So I learned a lot there in terms of customer service, just loving to serve customers. I got my examples that I use in my trainings. One example is inside a restaurant, it's serene with low music playing, violin music, classical. But when you get into the kitchen, it's not serene. It's hot. People are ducking. It's moving. It's speed. And I learned a very important lesson. For a serene kitchen, you need a busy, bustling kitchen. Right? For a serene restaurant area where people are getting served nicely, behind the scene, it's a lot of people working quite hard. And if that team is not working hard at the back, they are relaxed, you will see chaos in the restaurant, right? So that is one of our policies here. When I'm with the team and we have conflict and it's hot and we're working hard and we're having sleepless night, I tell them we are the kitchen.
Sure.
Right? If we're going to serve young people, there needs to be a bustling energy within AYDF. There needs to be hard work. People within AYDF need to feel, right? And if we do that, we will see success in our restaurant, which is young people. If we relax, there's going to be chaos there. So my journey gave me a lot of metaphors, which I use.
Your journey sounds like a story.
Yeah.
Beautiful story.
Yes.
If you were to explain the Ke Moja program to your 17-year-old self, what would you say about it?
Very good question. 17-year-old, I was doing standard 9. I think that's grade 11. I was debating. I was very famous.
Wow, you were famous.
School,
famous for what?
For debate.
Wow.
I won lots of debates. One memory from that, which I never forget, and my team laughs when I say, but I don't know, I think they're jealous. I won for a province, and I'm not lying. I think there was a line of about over 80 young girls who were kissing me.
Oh my God.
So that's just...
Talk about childhood.
That's just a dream for every young man. Yeah. So I'll never forget that.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it will happen again, but it was good. So what did I say to that young man? Wow. About Ke Moja in particular. I think the most important thing is substance abuse and most negative risky behaviors that we see from young people, right? STIs, teenage pregnancy, dropping out of school, teen suicide. All those things are just symptoms, right?
Just symptoms.
They're just symptoms. And usually, all of us are arrested by their manifestation, right? I mean, an addicted young person is a sorry sight to behold. And that addiction then becomes the focus of all the attention. Yet in reality, it's just a symptom. And if you rush to deal with the symptom, right, you're not going to solve the problem. There are root causes. There are things that are called risk factors, right, which are below the surface. And those things are the cause. And those things are what you need to look at. You know? Things like internal locus of control, right? So internal locus of control is a term that describes a person who's aware that they are the captain of their ship.
True.
They impact their life. The decisions you make right now are going to determine your future. That's an internal locus of control. External locus of control is people who believe that their life is driven by outside things. You know, traditionally, and I think for us as Black people, we have the elements of external locus of control. I saw that from my granny.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my people are going to see this, so I better be careful how I say this.
Be careful, sir.
But when things go wrong, they would say, this person will owe you. You understand? So in other words, we absolve them of the responsibility. So we're saying what we are seeing is a result of something outside, hence the word external locus of control, right? Things are wrong because the government. Our education system is not working because of the teachers, the government, the church, everything. So that's the locus. So that is one of the key drivers. That a person who has an external locus of control is at risk. You understand? Because they think that for things to be better for them, something outside must change. So the biggest lesson is, if you want things to change, you change, right? That when you change, when you make decisions, you actually impact your surroundings, right? So we have a slogan which says life is 5% what happens to you, 95% how you react.
Yes.
Right? So that human beings, unlike animals, don't just react to a stimulus. We don't choose where we're born, right? The child at the squatter camp doesn't choose. However, they still do have a choice of how do I choose to respond to the situation I'm finding myself in. And that knowledge that you have that choice, right? That the environment is not a life sentence, right? That you can be in the most desperate, desolate area. And this is a message we take to young people. A ship doesn't sink because it's in water, right? Just because a ship is in water doesn't mean to sink. But if it has a hole and the water comes inside the ship, then it will sink. So it doesn't matter the environment as long as you don't allow the environment to come inside you. So a young person in the most desolate of areas can imagine themselves being a president, being a doctor, right? So that, I believe, is one of the key messages I'd give to my 17-year-old.
Sure.
That the decisions you are making are waiting for you in the future.
Unfortunately.
And that you can actually take charge, right? The things that you make, the things that you do are determining the future. Yeah. That's the main one.
Sure. So for coaches who are getting in, how does that space look like for them who want to be Ke Moja coaches?
All right. So when we started, we had pure volunteers, right? Do you know what is a pure volunteer? Like some who don't get anything.
Nothing.
Right? No stipend. And usually they would get a shirt, etc. And that for me was a great environment because number one, what it did is it just increased accessibility. So it means any young person in any township, you take an excuse away from them, right? All they have to be willing to do is to come and give of their time, learn, and help. And when they do that, they are sowing their time, they will reap knowledge, and they grow. Right? Yeah, I think you spoke to Pace. Pace, when I met him, he was a pure volunteer, like no stipend. Right?
Sure.
And today he's a director of a company from that. You see what I'm saying? So that type of volunteerism for me was key because it said the ladder of success in South Africa reaches pretty low. You understand? You can pick up whoever is willing. You know that saying, mang li mang. You know that song?
Mang li mang. Let me think. Is it a church song?
You know, Tanda, yeah. Otanda magez. In Sutu mang li mang, I don't remember what they should do, but all it says is the opportunity is available for everybody. There is no excuse. Because you can. If you have time, you have nothing, you can start and volunteer. So I loved that. Most coaches now get a stipend, not a lot of money. But primarily in the Ke Moja program in Gauteng, because we're big in Gauteng, we're talking to other provinces. Primarily, we have about 47 offices that are spread throughout the 5 regions of Gauteng. So if we're not in your township, you definitely can get into a taxi and get into one of those offices.
Well, I think that's the best part of it.
Yeah. So it is accessible, right? There's 47 throughout every region. Ratanda, Heidelberg, Hammanskraal. You understand? So it might not be in every township, but I think you can get into it.
You can get in.
And any young person can go to those NGOs that we work with. Most of them are Sanka NGOs, which are looking at substance abuse.
Yes.
In Tembisa is Mabukanye. It's there. It's available, you know. Here in Johannesburg, you've got Sanka Central. In Alexandra, you've got Sanka Central. So a young person can go there and say, I'd like to learn. I'd like to participate. How can I help? And I believe that there are young people, which we call Ke Moja coaches, who would welcome such a young person. And they would learn and they'll start their journey. So I think that's how accessible it is to be a Ke Moja coach. You just need to be willing to give of your time. You need to come with an open mind. because a mind is like a parachute. It works only when it's open, right? So go with an open mind. You learn and start a chain. We have a number of young people who have done that. And Ke Moja has a toll-free line.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it is one of these banners that a young person can just call and, you know what I'm saying, and say, I'm in Alex. I understand that there are NPOs which work with the Department of Social Development to deal with substance. Where is it?
Right.
They can give them the address and the young person can show up. So the key thing is to be willing to volunteer. Now, if you are volunteering and you are around the young people, the nice thing about our young people is there's a turnover, because being a coach is not a park station.
No, it's not.
It's meant to be a traction. It's a step for a young person to move on with life. So as they move on with life, if you're around that as a young person and you are available, you are loyal, you've proven yourself, there's a high chance that the coordinator will use you, you understand, to replace the ones who are going. But the good news about volunteering is, even if they don't give you the opportunity, the things that you learn there are going to be a step that can take you on your own chain as a young person.
Hey, and for a lifetime.
For a lifetime.
For a lifetime. So I've seen a lot of these initiatives, you know.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them, even growing up.
Yes.
What do you think sets Ke Moja apart?
Okay. That's a very good one. What sets Ke Moja apart are the ingredients.
Yes.
Right? So it's a very good question, because that's what sets any cake apart, right? It's the taste of the pudding is in the eating. And what sets it apart is the ingredients and how people cook them. So the founder of this organization, Mr. Michael Finley, who's an African-American, when he set up this organization, one of the things that he did, which many organizations don't do, not just NPOs, is he invested heavily in quality programs, in the training of the people. I'm the product of that training.
Sure.
You know, he didn't nickel and dime. You know the term nickel and dime? Because most
I'm learning
people,
a lot today.
most people get lots of money, particularly when they are doing NPO work. Let's say they get 1 million rands. Maybe they will spend 100, 200,000 on a project, and the 800,000 is spent on themselves. So what he did was to ensure that whatever money he got, he invested in the program. How did he do that? Number one, when we wrote our first motivational manual, you see the Ke Moja manuals.
Yes.
So the mother of the Ke Moja manuals, it's a motivational program which had 5 modules. The authors of that manual, Mike looked for the best top black motivators in South Africa. So you had Dr. David Mlapo, you had Abner Mariri, and others. So it just shows. So he didn't just think, okay, I'm writing something for kids in Orange Farm. He made sure that he's bringing quality people who are going to bring in quality content, right? He then brought to train us people like Dr. Kriye, she was his professor when he was at university at the States. So he flew her in. Amazing woman. Gogo, African-American, Dr. Kriye, best facilitator I've ever come across.
Really?
She
Why?
broke all the rules of facilitation.
Really?
But, you know, her style of facilitation is she would take you, squeeze you until all the nonsense is out, and then she's going to build you up, right? So the work ethic, everybody comments about their work ethic at AYDF. Those were the days where those stones, you know, that foundation was built. Dr. Kriye, we used to prepare for training until 1 a.m., okay? We would, we just learned to work. You don't stop working until the work is done, okay? Then, when Mike did basketball, he brought in Mike Shaw, who was an NBA scout. Okay, so NBA in America. So he just brought the best that he could have in building the programs. When he did a motivational program, with a gentleman by the name of Marlon Smith. It was the first time that I saw, this was 2000s, right? That I saw this. And Marlon Smith in the 2000s, he was charging about 8,000 rands per hour. I was just gobsmacked.
Okay.
Looking at somebody, 8,000 rands per hour. And to top it all, we spent just over 2 weeks in the USA. We went to the University of California, we went to the University of Stanford, and we were trained by CASC, California Student Association, how to do youth work. So why is Ke Moja different? Because it's made up of all those ingredients, which are unique, qualitative, in-depth, just amazing. So whenever anybody is exposed to our training, they sense its freshness. They've never had this. They've never seen what we do. And it's impactful. So I just took you to the foundation of foundations, right? Because that was the foundation of everything that we do within AYDF. So not just Ke Moja. We've done HIV and AIDS program. We've just now done a civic education program. So we've done a lot of programs, but all of them feed from that foundation, right? They get their water from that well. And that was credit to the founder, which is Mr. Michael Finley.
How does the HIV one look like? Take me through that.
So when I joined the AYDF, I think 2000, it was Miles and Associates. It was a private company.
Of course.
And it was consulting for Love Life. So if you remember Love Life was a big HIV and AIDS campaign. So that's where most of these programs were formed in dealing with the HIV and AIDS problem, right? Yeah. So we were implementing nationally in all 9 provinces. We had sports, we had life skills, we had lots of programs of young people. So that's what we did in terms of HIV. And we've done HIV for Swaziland as well, for Lesotho, specifically HIV programs.
I like that you mentioned that Love Life especially.
Yeah.
Mr. Pay spoke a little bit about that.
Yes.
I want you to tell me about your experience of what Love Life looked like for you.
For me, okay. Well, that's when I joined the company.
Yes.
This was year 2000.
Yes.
Love Life, I think it started in 95. It was just starting. And for me, it was a very great college, university, in terms of learning, because this is my water. So that is how I learned them. So the first thing is we just had to be creative.
Okay.
Right? I remember Mike when I came, he said, Nhlanhla, I want you to go to all 9 provinces and I want you to assess the programs, develop a baseline for me. Where are we? This is, I've just come into my 2nd week at the job. And then where are we in terms of our objectives? And then let's develop a plan as to how we do an improvement. And then he said to me, go and design a form. So I was coming from the corporate culture. It's like, design a form? From SA, if I wanted a form, I just went to the HR office and said, I want form
Then they give
X,
you
Y, Z.
Then you're done.
So I had to learn that you have to design. I didn't know that you design a form. I kind of thought a form is something that you get somewhere, right? So I had to sit and decide, okay, what is the outcomes that I want to have? How am I going to have them? What type of questions? What are the fields? How do I fit all of that in one page? I still have that report and I'm very proud of it. So for me, that's what it was. It was learning real, useful, tangible skills.
Yes.
Right? Not airy-fairy, lot of talk. There's a lot of that in South Africa.
There's a lot.
But real skills that deliver, right? Something that is tangible. So that's what it was for me, right? And then I've been told I have a serious face.
Why?
Well, that's just what I've been told. So
I should ask them.
I guess I have to ask them why. So I was coming into a youth field environment and I wondered if I was going to fit doing a sugar chaga, icebreakers, and all those things. But I learned to love them because I understood why we have them. And they've bridged the gap between my serious face and young people. Right?
Sure.
So I can go to young people anywhere, anytime. Leave them alone with me, I'm sure that we'll
be
get
just
along
fine.
and we'll be fine. So I learned those things. I learned, as I said, the work ethic. Before I came, I'd learned the lesson of the secret of success without hard work. The secret of success without hard work.
What's the secret of success without hard work?
It's still a secret.
Yep.
Right? It is still a secret. So I'd learned that nothing happens without hard work.
Hard work.
I learned that if you're a 9-to-5 person, you're never going to get anywhere. Nah. If you're a 9-to-5 person, you've just doomed yourself to be a mediocre person for the rest of your life.
So,
if you're going to be an exceptional person, you need to arrive before the start time and leave long after the start time. And you need to learn to do the job until it's done. So I learned those things which were valuable. I got to see South Africa. We worked in Motherwell, Eastern Cape. Went to Mthatha. Went to Butterworth, Mandeni, Limpopo, Free State. It was a wonderful time. You know Rosa?
Yes, you know Rosa.
Rosa was a young person. So
Yes.
Rosa is the product of our program.
Rosa,
the breakfast show we cozy.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we met her as an unemployed young person, like we do.
Sure.
And she met radio in a Love Life Youth Center.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sure. I want to get into the nasties.
Okay.
The nasty.
Yeah.
With every vision, there's always opposition.
Absolutely.
There's challenges.
Yeah.
And I'll just get into those challenges and how you navigated those.
That's very good. That's a real question, right? Because don't envy someone's harvest if you're not willing to sow the seeds they sowed, right? If you're not willing to do what they did, don't just be envious of what you see.
Of course.
And that's the most important thing, because a vision is nothing but an overcoming of one problem after another and after another. So some of the problems that we met is we worked with young people. We had young people from Soweto, from Alex, from all over the place. And they got to go to KZN, Eastern Cape, some for the first time, flying. When you get there, you get a hired car. And as young people do, is the girls in that place will be very interested.
Oh, of course.
In our young people. And then you'd have issues like those, which is something that we had to work hard.
How did you deal with that one?
Look, that one actually, we've learned to deal with it now. I hope, because it's going to be
honest. And
it's going to be an ever existing problem. So we try to teach our young men. So every Monday, I meet with all the young men of AYDF and try to train them those values. And one of the key things is a young man, if a man falls, it's because of 3 G's. The 3 G's are girls. That's number 1.
Girls.
You need to learn how to deal with girls, right?
Number 2.
Especially for us.
Yes.
Because we go to disadvantaged areas, right?
Okay.
Where you find a lot of vulnerable young people.
Okay.
So they see this young boy who's talking nice English and they're facilitating, who's driving a hired car, who's staying in the hotel, right? So they have a complete misinterpretation of what's happening and as to who is in front of them, right? So it's very important for people like us to learn that you need to be able to, as a man, recognize that, understand where it's coming from, and not exploit it, right? Because we are there to protect those young people.
That's an important one.
So our young people are in schools. One of the most natural things is young girls will have crushes. So one of the things we have to teach our coaches and young people is that's natural. Right?
Oh,
that's how young people, that's what girls do. That's how they grow. That is how girls find themselves. And when that happens, it's not an opportunity for you to exploit it. But a young person must be safe, a young girl. Must feel safest when they're amongst us. They must have as much crushes as they want and know that no one is going to take advantage of that. So that is the real issue about working in development. Those are real challenges because they are coming against human nature, right? Our young people are in their early 20s. If they go to schools, girls are 18. You understand? It's natural that.
So I think that
attraction
also
will happen.
Attraction will happen. That's also like pushing me to ask, how do you ensure that your coaches are safe people?
Let me finish the three G's.
All right.
Girls. Gold. That's money. Right? You need to learn how to handle money. Right? When we give you 10 rands and you buy something for 7 rands, you must bring the 3 rands change. That small discipline is key because that is where people start corruption. And you ask yourself, this person is earning over 100,000 rands per month, but they are stealing. Why? They started stealing when they had 10 rands. Right? And what we're not aware, everybody thinks, this is just 10 rands. Once I'm in charge of millions, I'll be very strict. But there's a law of eventuality which says you will eventually reach the direction you're traveling to. You understand? So that's money.
Yes.
And then the third one is glory.
Okay.
That's the third G, which is pride.
Okay.
Right? It is very important to stay humble. There is no self-made man or woman, etc. So our job as the AYDF, because we must get young people who are NEET, N-E-E-T, young people not in education, employment, or training. So these are young people who finished matric. They're usually loitering in the township. Those are the young people that we get. So our job is to teach them these values, right? To get them to know why it's important to develop these disciplines. Because if you don't develop these disciplines as a young man and as a young woman, right, you're going to fall. It doesn't matter how high you go. It will. You can look at any person who has fallen. It is one of those 3 things. Girls, boys. What's the second one? Money.
Money.
And the third one is pride.
Glory.
Right? So our job, when they're with us for 1 year, 2 years, is to make sure that they've got that. So when you get one of our young people who've learned these lessons, when they go into corporate or wherever, they can succeed, right?
Sure.
In fact, they go out there and shine, right? So that's it. Is it easy? No. So how do we do it? We have a 0 tolerance rule. If somebody plays with school kids, a boy, they're out.
Sure. Right? Just like that.
If a girl plays with young boys, whatever, and we find out, they're out. Right?
Yes.
And so that's how we create it. But we're not just strict on the punishment level. We try to teach, right? To counsel. Right? So many times, which is why I say I meet with all men in AYDF every Monday to deal with these things.
How can others contribute to the mission of Ke Moja?
Good question. I spoke about risk factors. What are the things that are actually underlying substance abuse? So our theory of change is from Bronfenbrenner, which is the ecological ecological system theory for behavior change. And Ron von Brenner said this: when you go to try and change behavior of a young person, adult or whoever, the one thing you need to know is that people are not unidimensional.
Okay.
They are part of different systems that are shaping who they are, right? So you've got proximal systems that are closer. You've got distal systems, right? So proximal start with the internal. You got genes from your mom and dad. There's nothing you can do about that. That was an endowment they just gave you. So the genes determined your nose, etc. Distal, proximal and distal. So it starts with you. Every person has things that they just got. Right? That's genes.
Okay.
Your mom gave 23 genes, your dad gave 23 genes.
Yes.
But part of those genes have got weaknesses in them. All right? Some people have got genes that have got weaknesses around alcohol. Right? Both of us can drink, but if I have that, I become an alcoholic and you don't.
Ish.
Right? So, which means you asked, what can people do to help Ke Moja? So the first thing is, let's all look after ourselves.
Okay.
Let's not take unnecessary risks. It's not worth it to drink, to test them at drugs, etc. Because you don't know what's in you. Right? You can think I'm doing it because everyone is doing it, but everyone doesn't have what you have. Right? You've got old people who say, look here, Ke Moja I'm, I've been smoking in some before your mom was born, and look, I'm strong. That doesn't mean you're the same. So that's the most important thing that we can do to contribute. Let's look after ourselves. Let's build discipline. Let's develop ourselves to grow. So that's internal, right? Let's build ourselves in terms of growing spiritually. Let's build our minds, read good books, listen to good audios. Let's build ourselves physically, right? Let's eat healthy. Let's exercise, right? So let's do everything that we know. It's not a difficult thing. It's the things that we know. An apple a day keeps a doctor away.
Devil away.
No, not the apple doesn't keep the devil, it's the doctor.
Right. I took it from Sunday school.
Yes.
And they said a Bible a day keeps the devil.
You see, that's a spiritual. I like it. So that is a spiritual. Good principle. Right? So the difficult thing in life is because it's between eases. This Jim Rohn, he said that in life, the difference is between eases. Easy to do, easy not to do. Bible a day, easy to do. But what's the problem? It's easy not to do. An apple a day, it's easy to do, but it's also easy not to do, right? Studying, etc. So take care of yourself. The next one is the family. Very important, right? So if you have a child, this is how children spell love. Time. That is how children spell love. Time.
Okay.
Time.
Oh.
So my message to boys is, you have a child, go and spend time with them. You don't have money to pay damage, whatever. Go to the father, apologize and say, I'm here. I don't yet have money, I'm going to put it aside. But it's very important that I spend time with my child. Because most of the children in jails are fatherless. This is not the fault of the mothers. It's just that the job of bringing up a child takes two people at the least. So that's a very important. You have a child, you're going to contribute towards less substance abuse, spend time with them. Teach them everything that you know. Very important, mother and father, right? Because when you do those things, that child is less likely to start a substance abuse. Schools, very important. Schools are one of the risk factors. If a school is dysfunctional, it will have more substance abuse. If a school is functional and it works as it should, young people love to go to classes. Those young people are less likely to use drugs. So teachers, let's teach. Principals, let's manage school. Parents, let's stop outsourcing children to schools. Let's look at their books when they come back. Right? Let's help them with homeworks. You understand? Community, people. There's a child in that township who's looking at you and is watching you. So when you're going up and down, carrying Henneken, Hennessy, and whatever, you are influencing the young people within the township. So how we behave as a community, how we build values, how we treat women, how we treat men, how we treat each other, the respect, all those things are important. You understand? And then we come to the country, the type of laws that we pass have an impact. So if you notice, my answer is about the internal locus of control. I'm saying each and everyone there's something that they can do to assist Ke Moja in bringing down his substance abuse. And usually these are the things that we should do anyway, and we know that.
Yeah.
But we ignore them and we don't know that they have such huge consequences. But in reality, as much money as we spend in dealing with those problems, if homes were homes, if people looked after each other, if school worked, if communities, it's not about money. You don't have to be a rich community.
No.
Right? You can be in the most rural areas where Abu Baba, right? Where Abu Mama, and the Umparati, who is coherent, right? All those things, science tells us, are the things that have to break for the issue of substance abuse to go up.
Sure. What advice do you have for young people?
You're an ocean. That's my advice. You are an ocean. So if you stand in front of an ocean, the one thing you never feel is that I need to add something to this ocean. You don't feel like, you know what, let me bring a bit of a packet of water. At least this ocean will look better. Right? An ocean is awesome. And every young person is created. And within them, they're an ocean. They are awesome. They've got everything they need, but they're just a small seed. So they must allow themselves to be planted, to be taken care of, to be taught, to be disciplined, which is a very important thing as part of growing, right? And that's going to help you reach your potential. You're an ocean. You are enough. You understand? So one of the problems of our young people is a lot of young people feeling like, for me to be good, I need to wear this dress.
Yes.
For me to be good, I need to have this watch. I need to do this and that and that. That is really stupid. Because imagine the ocean saying, you know, for me to feel good, I actually need somebody to pour a cup of water in me. Like, you're an ocean. Not a cup of water. Right? You are more important than your watch, than clothes, than anything. Those things don't make you. Those things are way below you.
And you place so much value.
You are an ocean. Right? So when you wear a label, you must say that guy is lucky, I'm wearing their label. Not that that label makes me. You're an ocean within you. That's how God created you, right? Now, being an ocean and being aware of that says this. Unfortunately, in life, there are people who are takers, right? You've got young girls who've been abused by their fathers. You've got terrible things that are happening, right? You've got young boys who are staying in the streets. I mean, you can't even imagine what a 7-year-old staying in the street means. What does it do to your head and all those things? But you're still an ocean. Because if you can come to an ocean and remove a river worth of water, it's still an ocean, right? And it doesn't matter what life takes from you. You just need to be aware that you are an ocean. It doesn't have to bring you down. You can overcome it. There are many stories of people who have overcome. So that's my message to every young person in South Africa. You are an ocean.
For people who are thinking, I know there's probably no factual basis. What can you say to them?
I can give you the whole day and whole night stories of young people who were impacted by this. So I'll just give you one which stands out. In 2003, Mag and Bean came to us and said, look, we want to open a Mag and Bean in London, in the UK.
Yes.
So we know you're working with young people. Give us some of the young people, right? So we had young people called groundbreakers then, because we were working with Love Life then. 10 went to the UK. 2 of the young people, one from Emma Tulini, if you know Emma Tulini, then Emma Tulini, they were getting water from the river, right? It was Emakai. And Linyenye, which was a township. Yeah. When they reached the UK, they sent me an email. I put in Nhlanhla, there are no youth programs here. We want to start a youth program. We want to replicate what happened to them here. This is 2003. Gets quiet, communication. 2006, 2 young people, not from Soweto, from Emma Tulini and Linyenye, sent me an email. Nhlanhla, we want to fly you to London. We've organized young people. We want you to train them. Do you understand what I'm saying? They didn't have a degree.
Sure.
They just have a matric, maybe even failed it. In London, they flew me in 2006. I went to Newham, a Newport, and I trained about 14 young people in London. 2 weeks training.
Sure.
2007, they sent me an email. Nhlanhla, our program is in Brazil. 2008, they sent me an email and said, Nhlanhla, we've been invited by the United Nations to take part in the anti-slavery celebrations. We want you to come and train us and prepare us for that. When I looked, my passport had expired. I then trained other 4 young people to go there and train them. This is 2008, yeah. Went to London. 2009, I got an email. Terence is the one from Linyenye. Terence said to me, I'm now in the university at UK. I'm paying for myself. Khululekani from Emma Tulini. He came back, he went to manage the Y Center in Emma Tulini. I think about 2016, I was no longer with Love Life. Somebody from Love Life called me and said that program has gone to many countries in Europe. It was in the Eastern Europe, etc. Just one of evidence I can give you that I'm not just telling you tales. I know what I'm talking about. It works, but you have to work it.
What's the future of AYDF and Ke Moja look like?
The future of AYDF is AYDF will have an office in every province in South Africa. It will have an office in every country in Africa, from Cape to Cairo. And it will be producing young people who are dynamic, transformative leaders, and value-adding citizens.
Sure. I'm in awe. Mr. Nhlanhla, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
I hope that you enjoyed this chat as much as we did. I had thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope that you do like and subscribe. He's not just some high-flying director. He's someone who knows what it is to be young, to face challenges, and most of all, overcome them. My name is Fortunate Zwane, your host. Catch us next time.